Whenever you're ready, Noreen.
Oh, okay. Call to order, introduction to the accessibility statement in Title VI non-discrimination statement. Accessibility statement in Title VI non-discrimination. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Large print materials are available upon advance request. If you would like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 at extension 202. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI / non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protection is posted in this meeting room and is available at the Old Colony Planning Council website. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 extension 202 for more information, and thank you. Okay, I'd like to open up the meeting and call to order. And Bill, do you want to do the attendance?
Yes, ma'am. Abington,
John Stone, Abington DPW.
thank you.
Bruce Hughes, alternate.
Thank you. Avon. Bridgewater. Brockton.
Brady Winston.
Thank you, Brady. East Bridgewater. Duxbury. Easton.
Dave Field.
Thank you, Dave. Halifax. Hanover. Hanson.
Don Howard from Hanson.
Thank you, Don. Kingston. Pembroke. Plymouth.
Hello, Bill. James Downey from Plymouth.
Hey, James, thank you. Plimpton. Stoughton. Okay. West Bridgewater. Whitman.
Doreen O'Toole?
And Sabucci, alternate.
Thank you. Anybody from Brockton Area Transit? No? Okay. The MassDOT Office of Transportation Planning? Okay, and MassDOT District 5?
Hi, everybody. Barbara LaChantia.
Hey, Barbara, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Noreen, I think we're all set.
Okay, thank you so much, Bill. Thank you all for attending this afternoon. Appreciated. Item number 2, public comments. Do I have any comments? Hearing none, I'm going to move on to item 3, which is minutes of the October 7th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion on the table or any corrections?
Motion from Hanson.
Do I have a second on
Second from
that?
Whitman. Second from Whitman.
All in
Dan.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item number 4, which is communications, that would be Sean.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. There are a handful of items in the communications packet for this month. The first is a Justice 40 initiative, which will be held this month. USDOT will be hosting 2 virtual public meetings. During these meetings, you'll hear from senior USDOT leaders about the Justice 40 initiative, as well as being asked for input. Session 1 is being held November 9th from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time. And the second session will be November 16th from noon to 1:30 Eastern time. And if you'd like to register for either of these events, please click the links in the staff report. The next item is a new local bottleneck reduction grant program. MassDOT has launched this program to support municipalities and their local congestion reduction efforts. Applications will be accepted up until November 15th. For more information, please click the link in this report. The next item is the 2022 Mass Trails Program. Their next grant round is now open. Applications must be submitted online by 11:59 p.m. Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. For more information, please click the link at the bottom of this report. The next item is the 2021 MassDOT Moving Together virtual conference. It will be held December 7th through the 9th. There will be 3 transportation professionals speaking. Jamie Tesler from MassDOT, Todd Littman, the founder and executive director of Victoria Transport Policy Institute, and Jeff Speck, the renowned author, city planner, and urban designer. And for more information, please click the link in this report. And that is it.
Thank you so much, Sean. Any questions from the group? All right, thank you. I'm gonna
You're
move on
welcome.
to, I'm gonna move on to 5, which is reports, and who will be doing BAT today?
I'm not sure if we have anyone from BAT today.
Okay, I wasn't sure either. All righty, I'm gonna move on to Greater Attleboro / Taunton, GATRA, and that would be Sean.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I will make this short and sweet. I have no update.
All righty, and what about C, the South Coast Rail Project, Sean?
Yes, I can give an update on that. As everybody
Alrighty.
knows, South Coast Rail will be restoring commuter rail service between Boston and the south coast of Massachusetts, going through through Taunton down to Fall River in New Bedford. Phase 1 is currently in progress, and the service is expected to be completed by 2023, going down the existing Middleborough Lakeville commuter rail line. Next page, please. During the previous month, there was a little work conducted involving 24-hour excavation at the Middleborough Avenue Bridge in the city of Taunton. There was also drill shaft work for a support wall between Rainham and Taunton, as well as 24-hour grade crossings in the town of Assonet. And additional work included transportation of soils to the new Middleborough station, construction at station sites, as well as layover sites. And if anybody would like to sign up for the updates for this project, you may click the link and submit your email to receive these automatic updates.
Thank
And
you,
that is about
Sean.
it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions of Sean regarding the South Coast Rail? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next item, which is old business. It's the 2022-2026 Transportation Improvement Program, the implementation, and that would be Charlie.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So we have an update for you on the current tip, and it's hard to believe we're already 1 month into the program, and it's great to see the project on your screen's been advertised for construction bids by MassDOT. That's the Avon Stoughton pavement preservation related work on Route 24 that was advertised in late October, and the bids are scheduled to be opened on November 23rd. So it's good to see that moving ahead. For those of you who have been out on Route 24, you might have noticed south of Stoughton, the Route 24 work, they've been working on guardrails and signage in recent months in preparation for the pavement job on Brockton, Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, Rainham, et cetera projects. So it'll be nice to see this companion project implemented as well. So on page 2, it's not highlighted on your screen, but the Pembroke project, Route 36. Note here that this project is scheduled to be advertised by MassDOT for construction bids in December. And I do note that one of the items that might be on the docket for the MPO later on is a cost increase on this project. The cost has increased from the number you see on your screen to about $11 million. So it's gone up about 900,000. But this project, certainly on schedule to be advertised in the first quarter of federal fiscal year 2022. And as Bill scrolls through these screens, folks can ask questions on these projects. These are the projects programmed in the current tip. And as we're going through this, the next section on the next page is a section called currently unprogrammed projects. These are projects that are not in the financially constrained portion of the tip, but these are projects that are that have been approved by the MassDOT Project Review Committee and may be under some stage of design. And these are projects looking for funding within the TIP. And I will note that there are 2 recent actions of the MassDOT Project Review Committee. And the first one is on your screen here in Abington. So on October 21st, MassDOT Project Review Committee approved this project into the design process. It's Abington intersection improvements at 139 at Chestnut Street. And the cost estimate on this is approximately $3.8 million.
Mm.
And then on the next page down, next slide, please. In Brockton, there was a project approved on Forest Avenue from West Street to Greer Street. And this project is, cost estimate is approximately $8.8 million. So you might remember this kind of segment of this was the subject of a road safety audit conducted by OCPC in recent months. This is the section from basically Belmont Street past the Registry of Motor Vehicles, past the high school entrance, down to around Gordon Street. So for the 2 new projects added into the design process. So if the folks on the call have any questions on these projects, we can certainly entertain any questions. And if you'd like to talk about the projects offline after the meeting, we're available to do that as well.
I just have a quick question, Charlie.
Yep.
I'm wondering, what is the wiggle room for projects that, upcoming projects? Like, what is our budget as far as what type of funding do we have now? Or does it depend on how much each source is able to give us? What is like a typical, someone asked me that and I didn't know, asked me this question. What is the typical funding for the program?
So with the regional target funds, specifically, it's about $11 to $12 million annually. And fortunately, there's statewide line items that, Bill, if you could scroll back up to the first page of this, the staff report, as an example. So this project that was actually advertised, this Route 24, we're not, that doesn't come out of our regional target. That's coming out of a statewide funding target. So fortunately, that $7.3 million is on top of the $12 million.
Okay.
So we got about $20 million in 2022. And then next slide down is the Pembroke project. You can see at $10 million and increasing by about $1 million, you're almost right at a full year's allocation of our regional target. So then like on this next slide down, you see these projects are 2.1, 11.4, 4.5. The regional target ones on those. We have some more money in 2023 that should cover all of that out of our regional funds.
So they're just coming from different sources, and some of these are sponsored by MassDOT themselves, which doesn't intrude on the TIP. Okay. All right,
So this,
good.
under 2024, this is a good example. The Plimpton Bridge replacement, that comes out of the MassDOT Bridge program. So that's separate from the regional target.
Okay, great.
But
Great,
the other
thank
2
you.
are funded by the regional target. Yep.
Thank you. That's a great explanation. I just wasn't sure, what the exact monies were. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Charlie?
Well, I was just going to add, that's one of the things we're optimistic about. The might have heard there's some legislation pending out of Washington, D.C. There's multiple bills, and on the infrastructure side, there's the infrastructure bill, and about 50% of that infrastructure bill is the reauthorization of the multi-year federal transportation legislation, of which included in there is funding for planning and planning for transportation improvement programs. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that
that's great.
There'll be an uptick in funds for the TIP going forward over the next 5 years.
That would be great to get that funding.
Yep. So fingers crossed. So.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie, for the update. All right, I'm going to move on to item 7, which is under new business. And this is the Colony Safety System. And this is a program overview. And that would be Bill. And thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thought I would take an opportunity today to talk about our safety management system. During the past program year, I would going through the road safety audit at multiple locations program that we had in the Unified Planning Work Program. A question that constantly came up was how did we select these locations, and all of it. So it was a two-step process, to be honest with you. So it initiates in our safety management system, which I'm going to talk about today, but then it also involves reaching out to the communities and getting input on their priorities. So it's a collaborative process. But so today I just have a short presentation about our safety management system. So the safety management system, it's a continuing, cooperative, and comprehensive data-driven planning process that really guides all of our transportation planning efforts here, and also provides support to other planning modules at Old Colony Planning. So it just supports like CPED as well, like the Comprehensive Planning and Economic Development Department. So it's broad. It does. It's a big program. Like I say, it's continuing. It doesn't have a start date. Doesn't have a stop date. It's always going on. It's cooperative. We're working with our partners like MassDOT and the municipalities, our local law enforcement, fire departments, the Massachusetts State Police. So all of it working together with all our partners and comprehensive. So we're looking at the entire network. The ultimate goal of all this is ultimately to achieve the performance management targets that we're required under federal law to set each year. So as we enter through the next year, and especially the year after that, you're going to hear a lot about PM1, which is safety performance management. Those are the targets that we as an MPO as well as a state are required to set and work towards achieving. And the ultimate goal there is to reduce the number of serious injuries and fatalities on the network. And it's for all roadway, for all system users. So roadways, transit, bicycle and pedestrian. So these are just some of the products that the SMS feeds into. So like I said, we have this road safety audit program that's been very successful, very popular. So it feeds the safety management feeds directly into that. It helps us determine transportation corridor studies, where we're going to be directing our planning efforts in terms of that. Bicycle and pedestrian planning, obviously, safety, a huge component of that. So where we're going to really target safety improvements for bicyclists and pedestrians. It feeds into our unified planning work program. So these line items that you see each year, particularly in the 3,000 level grouping on the UPWP, a lot of that's derived from the safety management system. The transportation improvement program, Charlie just talked about all the projects that are in the TIP, and both those programmed and unprogrammed. So we have a large universe of projects. We wish we could fund all of them, but the reality is we have to use evaluation criteria to prioritize, and safety data from the safety management system does support that process, and then it feeds into our long range plan. So these are just a few of the data sources that we use in systems. It's not, this isn't by all means fully inclusive list. It's just a example of the more, the ones that we go to most often. So the one we probably use most often is MassDOT's interactive mapping portal for analysis and crash tracking or impact. I know many of you are familiar with that. I'll show some screenshots of that in a second of what it looks like, but it's a great tool, and that's probably what we use most often. We also work closely with our public safety departments. So we get the collision diagrams and crash reports from police departments. So when we, sometimes we get, asked when we reach out to towns and police departments, when we ask for the crash reports, how do we use that? So the data from those reports, especially the narratives in the officers' words and based on, the operators' reports, that is really helpful in us doing our crash analysis. Brockton Area Transit, they have their own performance tracking dashboard. You can actually see it on their website, so anyone can see it. And under that, they just like us, they do safety performance reporting. The fatal analysis reporting system, or FARS, from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is another resource that we go to regularly. And the Federal Railroad Administration, they're the main reporting agency for crashes involving railroads. So when there's an incident with a grade crossing, that'll be in the impact system as well, because that affects, that's on a roadway. But but the Federal Railroad Administration will report on grade crossing crashes, as well as whenever a trespasser is struck by a train or when there's a train derailment. So these are just, so from those sources, these are some of the metrics. So the first column here, system, these are the ones that we actually have to report on each year, as well as the state. So the total number of fatalities, as well as the fatality rate for the region, the total number of incapacitating injuries and the rate of those injuries. And then, and for bicyclists and pedestrians, it's actually the two are combined, and we look at a total of injuries and fatalities for those users. So like I said, that those are region wide. They're not link or segment or even mode specific. Those are just a reporting. Those are the factors, the criteria that we have to report on each year. Excuse me, under PM1, looking at intersections. So like that first column is like macro analysis. Now these next three columns are more like more medium level analysis or micro analysis. So intersections equivalent to property damage only. So this is probably one you've heard a lot about if you've gone to the road safety audits that we've done. So EPDO, that's a method that has been widely accepted for evaluating safety at intersections. Basically, it gives weight to crashes with injuries and fatalities. So you look at all the crashes in a period, typically it's 3 years. Crashes that only resulted in property damage, they receive a point value of 1, whereas crashes that resulted in an injury, whether it's non-fatal or fatal, receives 21 points. And then we get the EPDO index, and then that gives us a system to compare intersections among each other. It's widely accepted. It's been really helpful in helping us evaluate safety on the network. We maintain a database of nearly 700 intersections on the region. So it's comprehensive. It is really helpful. Crash rate. So we can look at the actual rate of crashes. So that's given in crashes per million entering vehicles for an intersection. We can then take that and look at it, compare it to the region. Is it above average? Is it below average? And clustering. So using GIS, we can look at crashes around a certain point and build clusters. And then the top 5%, the clusters in the top 5% for the region, those would be eligible for a specific item of funding under the Highway Safety Improvement Program. So highway segments, we also have crash rates. Those are slightly different than intersections. Those are crashes per million vehicle miles traveled. We also have network screening where we look at the actual number of crashes in the period versus the predicted number of crashes, and I'll show that in a second. Excuse me. And then transit. So Brockton area transit, they look at crashes, preventable crashes on their network, and it's broken down to between fixed route and demand response. So fixed route, it's the rate is crashes, preventable crashes per 100,000 miles, and for demand response, it's preventable crashes per 10,000 miles. So the next few slides, I'm just going to show what some of these systems look like. So I mentioned crash clustering. So this is a screenshot of the right around downtown here. You can there's actually different types of clusters being reported here. So we see the smaller dots at intersections. Those would be crash clusters that are considered within the top 5% for the region. So looking at all intersections, those are the locations where the highest frequency of crashes basically is occurring. Then there's also pedestrian clusters on here and bicycle clusters. So that this is a really helpful tool. It's a quick visualization. It really aids us in directing our planning efforts. So getting a little deeper into the impact system. And again, this is just all screenshots for the interest of time. I just chose to use specific screenshots, but it is a great system. It's available to anyone. I usually just access it by just going into my Google, my search bar, mass.crash portal. It'll bring you right there. So this is an example that we did a couple of weeks ago. We were interested in looking at the crashes along the North Quincy Street corridor. So you can see right there in the screenshot how I was able to highlight that corridor. It's very easy. Drew a line along it, and then a small buffer. You can make the buffer as big or as small as you want. So I drew a line along the corridor, and then I said 50 feet. So that's basically that'll capture the roadway and also capture the intersecting roadways and driveways. And you can see, you can say date range. In this particular case, we were interested in looking at a trend over time. So started in 2005, but a lot of our analysis is 3 years. So for example, for the regional road safety audit program, typically I'm looking at 2018 through 2020. So this would be what your next screen looks like after that previous screen. After you hit analyze, you get this. So down the bottom, on the bottom half here there, those are all the crashes. You can export that into an Excel spreadsheet. So in this particular case, there were nearly 800 crashes along that corridor, beginning in January 2005 through present. The upper right quarter there, you can see gives you a quick breakdown. So in this particular case, unfortunately, you can see almost as many crashes resulting in injury as crashes that are property damage only. And there have been a few fatal crashes along this corridor, so you can actually see the fatal bar showing up a little bit there. And then on the top left, I'll actually show you micro clusters. So it'll look at the segment that you just selected, and it'll show, it'll visualize the clusters where the greatest concentration of the crashes on the area you just highlighted are occurring. So it's a really great tool. We use it all the time. I mean, honestly, I probably use it every single day in some aspect. So definitely recommend that. to anyone interested in safety in your community. So finally, this is network screening. So the last couple slides I showed you were a lot about data retrieval and analysis. This is actually looking at performance versus prediction. So every roadway in the impact system has a what's called a predicted crash value. So looking at the roadway characteristic, looking at volume as well as past trend analysis, you can actually predict a number of crashes that a roadway should have. And this system is looking at the actual number of crashes and is it exceeding that predicted number of crashes. So again, it's right here in downtown, right around our building. You can see two categories here. So the red, those would be the top 5%, just like the intersection clusters. That's the red here is the top 5%. So these are roadways where the excessive value of crashes is high, is in that category where it's in that top 5% of the region. And then the next level of shading, which is that thicker gray color, that would be the next category. So to be like the top 6 to top 15%. And this is a tool that's very helpful to us when we're looking at developing. So for example, we just completed developing our unified planning work program for this year, but soon enough we'll be starting to put together the UPWP for 2023, and we might be thinking of corridor analysis. So we'll use this tool and look at areas where maybe there's an excessive number of crashes, and that, just like that first slide where I showed the safety management feeds into all these other products, this would be an example of how we use that. So that's basically an overview of the safety management system. It's very detailed. I just gave a small snapshot of what we do here. But if you have any questions about this, by all means, I invite you to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about it. I work in a lot of different areas of planning here, but safety planning is definitely my passion. I really love doing this stuff, so I love talking about it as well. So, by all means, if you have any questions, please reach out to me.
I actually have one.
Yep.
I thought it was really interesting, the whole presentation, but I thought it was critical that this program can help you expect crashes in a certain area. And does it also help you to give you some sort of strategy or remedy of what you could do differently, or does that have to come onto your end?
That basically, so that comes down to our end, as well as working with our partners. So that's basically, there's different ways we can go about that. The one that we're really using right now is the road safety audit. So,
Okay.
so when we look at a location where there is a higher number of crashes than we would expect, or there's a higher frequency of injuries or fatalities that we're comfortable with, that's where we'd want to do a road safety audit, whether it's an intersection or a segment. So that's the process where we'd gather everybody together. So it's planners, it's MassDOT, it's the police departments are always great about participating, fire departments. So these different disciplines, people who are actually responding to these crashes. And so we look at the segment, and then we start to identify deficiencies. And so we might say, hey, well, look, there's no streetlights. No wonder why we're having a lot of crashes at night.
Right.
Or there's no, we have this intersection where a lot of crashes are happening, but we don't have any signage telling drivers that this intersection is coming up. So it's stuff like that. So that's where those recommendations would be made to make improvements.
I found, because, I was part of many safety audits
Mhm.
as a planner. And I found that everybody being out there and actually being in the street and looking to see the patterns of what's happening is so helpful. Like you say, like, hey, there's no sign here. Well, when you're driving, you don't necessarily notice those things. But when you're right on the ground level, it makes such a difference. So I think those are so successful when you folks come out and do those in the communities. So thank you. That was a great presentation. Anyone else have any questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Nice work.
Thank you.
And I'm going to move on to Resilient Transportation and Climate Adaptation Summit. And we're going to get a summary and a recap, and that would be from Ray.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome.
Yep. We on Wednesday, October 20th, 1 p.m., we had a webinar summit on resilient transportation and climate change adaptation. It was approximately 35 people attended. The purpose was to discuss the impact of climate change on transportation, and also how the regional planning agencies and the communities within the regional planning agencies were dealing with that and how they were adapting to climate change. But we also had a speaker as one of the panelists from the Executive Office of Energy and Environment, as well as Cape Cod Commission, Metropolitan Area Planning Council, Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District, as well as OCPC. Han Shu is the Global Warming Solution Act Program Manager at the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. And she spoke more about reducing transportation sector greenhouse gas emissions in Massachusetts and implementing the state's decarbonization plan and clean energy and climate plan for 2025 and 2030. So she spoke on the end of reducing greenhouse emissions from transportation fuels and transportation sources. And she spoke specifically about those two plans, the plan to decarbonize Massachusetts and the clean energy and climate plan. So she spoke about things about transitioning vehicles and buildings to it's like the end users of transportation to transition away from fossil fuels and pursuing energy efficiency and on the production end, producing zero carbon and low carbon supplies of energy into the system. And also another thing is carbon sequestration, which is capturing more carbon from the atmosphere through more trees and vegetation. A lot of people don't realize how many trees over the millennia that we have taken down on the earth. It's in the trillions, and we still have trillions of trees on the earth, but we have taken about a good chunk, maybe 1/4. That's just an estimate. So if we can get more trees to sequester the carbon, more vegetation and open space, that helps also. The other speakers we had were from, we had the Transportation Program Manager from Cape Cod Commission, and we had the Director of Environmental Planning, Metropolitan Area Planning Council, and Rivers and Trails Watershed Coordinator from SERPED. And I also did a brief presentation from Old Colony Planning Council. So we have and what we spoke on was the impacts on the region and how we're dealing with it. Like they spoke about low impact development and reducing the impacts of flooding through infrastructure improvements and flood resilience, which is improving the natural storage of flood areas, like dam removal and wetland replacement. So a video of the webinar is on OCPC's website if anybody wants to look at the video And we also have a story map on our website under the climate change study. That's just a brief recap of what we did, and I think it was fairly successful. So if anyone has any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer. Noreen, I think your mute is still on.
Mute. There it is. Oh, can you hear me now? Yes.
We can
Okay.
hear you, yes.
Any questions for Ray?
No questions, but I just would like to just thank the OCPC team, Ray and Bill and all the other staff members. It really was a successful collaborative with other regional planning agency. And if you were not able to attend, I highly recommend to all of you to really take a look at that video. So thank you to Ray and the transportation team.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, great presentations today, always by the staff. And we'll be sure to check in on that video.
Noreen, Sid has a question.
Okay, Sid, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I attended that virtual presentation, and that was really good, very informative. I really learned a lot. So I think it's a good start for this program, and I look forward to actually getting engaged and involved with the solutions that brought up in that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Any other comments or questions? All righty. Under item 8, other business, community local technical assistance studies, and that would be Bill.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. So quick and easy report this month. We have 2 projects that we're currently working on in Plymouth. We'll be doing traffic counts along Commerce Way over this peak holiday season. We selected the holiday season basically based on all the heavy retail along that roadway. So that'll be occurring in the next month or so. Then in West Bridgewater, we're also doing traffic counts, looking specifically at heavy commercial traffic on 3 roadways in that town. And that data collection has been collected. We're just finishing up our analysis now.
Thank you, Bill. Questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Item B is staff reviews on ENFs and MPCs, and that would be Kyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have one new ENF this month. It's for the Swanberg property well field, and that's in Pembroke. So for this project, the town's proposing to install a new groundwater production well field and associated water main connection. And this well field, it's expected to augment the town's existing active water supply sources and to assist with meeting future water supply demands. And next we have a couple certificates. First is for the former National Fireworks site in Hanover and Hanson. And the certificate states that this project is going to require the submission of an environmental impact report. And then separately, there's a draft record of decision for a proposal to grant a waiver, which will allow the proponent to proceed with phase 1 of the project prior to completing the MEPA process for the entire project. And then the next certificate is based on that record of decision for that project. It's just stating that the phase 1 waiver that has been granted for that. Next is a public notice for the city of Brockton. It's a notice of intent to initiate an aquatic plant management program. And this is at the location of Irrigation Pond within Thorny Golf Club and Woods Pond. They're going to be utilizing a mechanical hydro rake which will be used to establish safe usage of the water body and to protect the interests of the Wetlands Protection Act. And that concludes my report from MIPA.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions or comments? Thanks very much. Item
You're welcome.
C is regional concern and local community transportation issues, and I'll open this up to anyone who has comments or questions.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Bruce.
Okay, John Stone's on. Brockton Avenue, 123. Looks like they're replacing water pipes. John, could you give us an update on that?
Bruce, we're replacing our sewer force main. It's a 2-mile long ductile iron pipe that runs from the office on Summer Street at the corner of Progress, runs down Summer to Route 18, and takes a right on Vernon and takes a left onto Brockton Avenue and discharges in front of Walmart. So we're in the process of replacing that pipe. It's broken twice in the past 6 years. So we're just trying to prevent that from happening again. They're probably about 65% complete right now.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate that. I try to avoid that section of Brockton Avenue, but it's good that that's getting done before winter comes too.
Yes, and we're replacing it with a 20-inch PVC. We're increasing the size in case there's any future growth, maybe, I don't know, it could be 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now. And we went with PVC because the soil gases were eating the ductile iron from the inside out. I don't think they knew about that when they designed this pipe in 1986 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Well, I want to thank everyone and always the Colony Planning Council staff for all your good work that you do and for informing us all, because we're novices still. So if there's not any other comments, do I have a motion to adjourn and see you next month?
So moved, Hanson.
Second,
Okay.
Abington.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion is accepted. Thank you so much for attending and see you soon.
Thank you, Noreen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Noreen.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everybody.
See you next
Bye-bye.
month.
Thank you.